Allow me at the very outset to convey our sincere gratitude to the government and people of South Africa for the warm welcome and generous hospitality extended to myself, my colleagues, the ministers, and our entire Namibian delegation since our arrival in Tshwane. We have been made to feel truly at home in this sisterly republic, and for that we are deeply grateful. It's always a pleasure to be in South Africa, because for us in Namibia, South Africa is not just a neighbor. South Africa is a strategic partner, a partnership born in the trenches of the anti-apartheid colonial struggle, a struggle that was sustained with the suffering and blood, cost thousands of lives for both of us to realize our inalienable right to self-determination and today be part of the Committee of Nations. Hence, in Namibia, we say, their blood waters our freedom, the blood of our heroes and heroines of our common liberation struggle. Our common freedom, a constant reminder of where we come from, and that in whatever we do as a people, as neighbors, and as Africans, we have common aspirations and a common destiny through the AU Agenda 20. To the senior officials of our two countries, whose preparatory work over the past 2 days has provided a sound basis for our deliberations today. This will enable us as ministers to chart the way forward in terms of recommendations to be presented to our heads of state when the BNC convenes. The fourth session of the Namibia-South Africa BNC builds upon a deliberate and sustained journey of consolidating our bilateral relations and cooperation. From a bilateral mechanism on economic, trade, defense, and security cooperation, we have transformed it into a fully fledged BNC, co-chaired by our heads of state, in recognition of the critical importance of our bilateral cooperation. Co-chair, honorable ministers, bilateral cooperation is about people. As such, our frequent people-to-people exchanges requires careful management as they form the bedrock of our shared future and reflect the intertwined destinies of our people. Our continued collaboration is therefore critical to the realization of their developmental aspirations and our collective duty to promote lasting security, prosperity, and economic stability for the benefit of both our nations. Simply put, the true measure of our partnership lies not only in the agreements we conclude, but in the tangible opportunities we create for our people. Since 1990, Namibia and South Africa have concluded over 150 bilateral instruments, the highest Namibia has with any of its bilateral partners. This spans trade, security, energy, water, health, education, and culture, a body of agreements and memoranda of understanding that give legal meaning to our bilateral cooperation and trade. Namibia highly appreciates these legal frameworks which underpins our cooperation as two sisterly countries. Therefore, as we take stock of the progress made in the implementation of the decision of the third session, we must ensure that tangible socio-economic benefits inclusive, sustained economic growth, and opportunities flow to our people and materially impact their living conditions. This session of the BNC will accord us the opportunity to seek directives from our heads of state on new areas of cooperation that we will identify during our discussions, as well as those areas where we continue to lack agreement. One of the items that will once again come up for discussion at this session of the BNC is the issue of the Orange River boundary. Co-Chair, Namibia's struggle for national liberation took us 24 years. It has been 36 years since the commencement of the negotiations, and we are yet to conclude the matter on the Orange River boundary. It is our sincere hope that this session of the BNC will provide a definitive way forward towards the conclusion of the Orange River boundary in order to secure Namibia's total territorial integrity and complete our decolonization process. We also look forward to discussions on deepening cooperation in the energy sector through the collaborative efforts to diversify our respective energy mixes. In our 6th National Development Plan, which was launched a year ago, Namibia recognizes energy as a critical enabler for meeting our developmental needs. In this vein, we are also aware of the imperative to diversify energy sources at the regional level through accelerated investment in renewables, improve water access and sanitation, and expand cross-border energy trade in order to address the regional energy shortfall. On bilateral trade, our bilateral trade figures highlight the importance of convening the BNC at the highest level, as the economies of Namibia and South Africa are deeply intertwined. Total trade between our two countries reached approximately 86 billion last year, of which Namibia exported 29 billion to South Africa against imports of 57 billion, a persistent deficit driven by structural gap between our respective industrial bases. Namibia's leading export to South Africa last year included precious and semi-precious stones and metals, ores and slag, fish and other aquatic products, and live animals, while our imports were dominated by vehicles, machinery, electrical equipment, and pharmaceuticals. Statistics of this kind, Co-Chair, are a call to action. The establishment of the South Africa-Namibia Business Council, as directed by the third session of our binational commission, is thus an imperative. Namibia regards this council as the missing operational link between our two economies, one capable of organizing the movement of private capital, joint ventures, and industrial partnership beyond the raw asymmetry of imports and export statistics. Our senior officials should finalize its term of reference and secure its formal launch before the 5th session of the Namibia-South Africa BNC. The holding of a business forum as part of this BNC session is highly commendable. Namibia knows the progress recorded at the recently concluded 9th SACU Summit at the 7th Ministerial Retreat that preceded it in Cape Town in June this year. Of particular interest to Namibia is the proposal for Botswana, Eswatini, Lesotho, and Namibia to participate in an ex-officio capacity within South Africa's own tariff setting process at the International Trade Administration Commission, a modest but meaningful step towards the transparency our smaller economies have long sought. We also welcome the continued work on cross-border value chains, including the Adrada lithium project in Namibia, which is already benefiting from technical and financial collaboration with South Africa's Industrial Development Corporation, and which stand as a working example of what regional industrialization under a reimagined SACU can look like in practice. Our bilateral relations cannot flourish amidst insecurity and conflict. We therefore remain deeply concerned at the continuing instability, particularly in the eastern part of the DRC. We commend South Africa's contribution along SADC forces in support of peace and stability in that country. Namibia further shares South Africa's grave concern at the very serious developments with respect to the situation in the Sudan, where massive loss of life and destruction of civilian infrastructure continues to unfold, together with the dire humanitarian situation confronting the Sudanese people. We add our voice in calling upon members of the international community, including mediators, to play a constructive and impartial role in seeking a peaceful solution to the dire humanitarian situation in the Sudan. On South Sudan culture, Namibia expresses its concern at the continuing political impasse and the fractured relations between the country's political stakeholders. We commend the Republic of South Africa for its continued role as part of the African Union mediation structures in support of a revitalized agreement for the resolution of the conflict in South Sudan, and we call on all parties to that agreement to commit fully to its preservation and implementation. Our two countries are products of international solidarity. Therefore, we will continue holding hands with South Africa in advocating for the right to self-determination of the people of Western Sahara. We condemn in the strongest terms the deliberate endorsement by some countries of an autonomy plan put forward by Morocco, which in essence runs counter to the right to self-determination of the people of Western Sahara. With respect to the volatile situation in the Middle East, Namibia will continue to lend its unwavering support to the people of Palestine, who are currently living under inhumane and unimaginable conditions, and they continue to be denied their basic human rights, including their collective right to self-determination. We maintain our unwavering solidarity with the government and people of Cuba. Co-chair, distinguished delegates, I look forward to the usual candid and productive session this morning, one that will provide our heads of state a clear and factual account of where implementation stands, where it has stalled, and our collective commitment to get it done. I thank you for your kind attention.